This is one man
and his therapist. So, hi, Stephen, and how are you?
I'm good today, Zach. Thank you. Last week when we spoke, I was like a little Duracell bunny, kind of very hyper about, I don't know, all these like different things I was doing. Today I've kind of found that energy again, but it's been a bit up and down since then. But yeah, I'm feeling good, feeling like kind of clean in my head.
Clean, I like that. What are we bringing to the table today? What's most important for you to focus our time on?
Well, last time we spoke, we were talking pretty in depth about the kind of baggage that I've been carrying with me for so long. About particularly, we ended up kind of angling in on my parents more than anyone else, and I think there's a reason for that. I think it becomes clearer as we look at the situation that, you know, Rebecca isn't baggage for me. She's my wife, and she is. When I think of Rebecca, I think of lightness, and I think of someone who just brings a different energy, you know. And the other being that we spoke about a few weeks ago that I wanted to keep as part of this heaviness that I'm carrying is Timmy the dog.
Yeah.
And I have great news to report on Timmy the dog. It's very important, actually. I have had Timmy with a trainer, and we've been working, and my dog has completely transformed in the last week. And I can't tell you, like, honestly, like, it's been such a release for me, because I can now walk around this town with my dog and not fear him, like barking at random people, and like it's just a revolution for me. And so I don't know. I don't know how people. Honestly, I don't have children yet. Hopefully, maybe one day I will. I don't know how people have children really and do everything else in life, because that dog has consumed my brain for so long, and like his misbehavior. And now that he's like a better dog, I'm like, oh wow, this is really nice. Anyway,
How great! So, because I mean, all the joy of your one man and his dog experiences versus your one man and his therapist was so anxiety fueled. You couldn't really just go on your stroll. You couldn't just enjoy your walks. As you say, you were so hyper fixated and preoccupied with Timmy's sort of misbehavior. I'm so glad for you. So now you can really immerse yourself into enjoying that bond with your pet. That's going to be so nice.
Yeah, and I also learned a lesson as well, because the trainer, we've really bonded, and like we're just like hanging out now and walking together, and you know, and he's actually the person that we met to train Timmy the first week we arrived here, nearly a year and a half ago, and I judged him in that moment as someone who I didn't want to spend time with. I judged him because he was kind of cold, I felt, and I've learned through getting to know him now, after coming back to him because I'd lost all hope, I've realized that was a defense mechanism of his. And also he didn't engage with the dog, and that was tactical on his part. But all these things I just judged and thought, no, we'll get someone else, who didn't work out in the end. But it's just a lesson learned, you know, about, you know, I'm cleverer than that, but I really, you know, didn't immediately warm to him, and therefore felt no. You know, it's interesting for me to learn that.
Yeah, indeed.
But yeah. So anyway, last week we spoke about my parents a lot, and then you suggested that I write my father an email, and actually, like only a couple of hours, I think, after our session, I wrote an email to him, which was very cathartic. I think that's the right word?
Yeah.
And it like I read it the next day afterwards, and I just cried. And he wrote back saying, "Stephen, thank you for your lovely email. I will reply when I'm ready or something along those lines. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want me to read it or I don't know.
May I suggest you don't read it?
Yeah, I
That
feel like that's what my gut's telling me. It's between me and him.
yeah, it's so intimate,
Yeah.
and it doesn't stop us, having worthwhile conversation about the emotional impact of it. So, um, but interesting that you wrote the email and sent it pretty quickly. I have to
Mm-hmm.
say, many people I meet, they sort of, well, they'll draft it, sit with it for a week, 2 weeks, rewrite it, delete it, never send it, maybe send it. But you were straight in there. You sent it pretty quick. So, yeah, there's something in that. Um,
Yeah.
so, let me first ask you just the initial response that you got from your father, which was in the lines of, thank you for that. I'll respond when I'm able to. How did that
Mm-hmm.
land with you?
Well, it landed in the way that I know that he's in a bad place at the moment, and I know that he's in and out of drinking, and so it landed in the way that I just thought I'm sad for him. You know, I'm just sad for him. I'm sad that he's not in a place where he can bring himself to respond. I suppose as well. There was a happiness for me that at least he's seen it, and
Yeah.
and what I needed to express to him has been expressed.
Yeah. And may I suggest that for a lot of people who receive such a letter, who receive such an emotionally heavy communication from a loved one, it can be quite overwhelming and can really overstimulate or overwhelm a person. And for him to come back with, I will get back to you and respond when I'm able to. It sounds fair, measured, and quite respectful, actually. Um, you know, Better that he does that, possibly, than just some immediate response that he may not be able for, right now. So we know it's with him. The message you delivered to him is with him. He's with that now. And in the future, we'll see how that plays out. But give me a sense of what it is you communicated to your father in the letter, in the email, that was different to what he already knows. Because you have on a number of occasions expressed your worries, your concerns, your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
even your hurt to him in various conversations at various times. But what was it about this particular emailed letter that was different? What do you
Mm-hmm.
think was new about it?
Well, I kept with me what your thoughts on, not being the caretaker, not being um the one who is always trying to look after my parents, and so I I was much more mindful of that, and so it was more of a and I made it very clear from the start. This letter has no agenda. I wrote that explicitly.
Right.
I'm not trying to seek any outcome from this letter. I just need to say these things, and so that was difference A or one, and then there was a lot of warmth in it, in the sense it wasn't about me really. It wasn't about how I am being affected by anything. It was about things that I suppose I would want him to know in case anything happens to him. I think that was there was something of that in it. Like if I had only one chance to say things to him before he died, a good few of those things would have been in that email. Um, you also brought me back when you spoke about like when were the best times with your dad, and I mentioned being in the car with him and looking forward and kind of being able to communicate with him, and I put that in the email. some of my fondest memories are being in the car in the morning with him going to school, and how he used to slag me off for wanting to listen to long wave radio Atlantic 252 instead of Morning Ireland, which he wanted to listen to. And then and sometimes I would want to listen to that too. And then we'd talk about the current affairs. And so I put that in the email. And then I also put about how when he came here to Romania and he got sober for those 4 weeks and we did AA every day together, I put I meant that. I meant it. It came to me as I was writing it, and I was like, they were 4 of the best weeks of my life, not his life, of my life. And I really meant that. It wasn't like I was traveling on a train through India, or I was standing on top of the Empire State Building, or I was finishing off a climb to the top of the 7th peak, highest peak of the world. I was with my father, who was in many ways for the first time in his life. I wrote this in the email as well. It felt like he was meeting himself really again. And I put that, and I said, they were 4 of the best weeks of my life, watching you find yourself, meet your authentic self, coming alive in such a way. And I also put that, and I think one of the reasons why they were 4 of the best weeks of my life is because he is one of the pillars of my life, and so to see one of those pillars of my life be the person that I know they can be, and to start to see their fullest richness of soul within them. I mean, of course, it was a profound experience for me, but I never really thought about it from my perspective until I was writing that letter. But it really was an amazing time for me, and for me, it goes to show of being service to others is so much more fulfilling than being of service to self.
Yeah. And would you say your father was more emotionally available to you during those 4 weeks?
Yes.
How so?
Well, he was being honest,
right?
Like really honest. He couldn't figure out why he drank. I remember him saying, like, he hadn't had the opportunity to go too deep, but I remember him saying very clearly one day, he said, "I think it was just habit, Stephen." It's like, okay, yeah. But there was just much more open communication. I can't be too specific, but I do remember one very big moment was when I was leaving him at the airport after having a very big conversation with him in the airport, and driving away from him, and him shouting as I pulled away with Timmy the dog in the car, feeling great, and he shouted, "I love you." He never told me he loved me, like hardly ever. And he said it out loud in front of people at a terminal building in an airport. And he was sober.
Yeah. It's quite cinematic, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a big moment, like.
Yeah. I'm really glad you got to experience that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If nothing else, if everything ended today, I had that time with my dad,
Indeed. And it sounds like you're talking about his honesty during those 4 weeks. And when people are trapped in addiction, and it is a trap, by necessity of survival, by the necessity of trying to keep the relationship with their addiction alive, to keep it fulfilled, topped up, lying is an essential part of managing that. So people in addiction, as you know, by necessity have to lie to themselves and others all at the same time. And that 4 weeks that you had with your dad, there's a purity about the honesty and simplicity of the communication. There was no layers. There wasn't as many layers to it. It wasn't as, there was no second, third, fourth agenda going on. It sounds like it was just a bit more pure. Oh, that sounds
yeah,
sounds great.
Yeah, it was very, it was, yeah, kind of simple in its own way.
Yeah.
Like we're
Yeah.
very different people, me and him, and we're never gonna. And one thing I'm really recognizing as I, get a bit older, us as men, I suppose. Well, I don't know whether it's a man thing, but I can only speak from my own experience. But we, I certainly have always felt like, I don't know, like there was like it's hard to put into words, but it's like you walk, you're meant to walk in your father's footsteps, that kind of classic thing, or like that you kind of automatically do, or like. But then I heard someone say recently, I don't know how I heard this or what, but it really sank in with me. And it's like, when do you become your own man, or do you ever become your own man? And like one thing I can say with surety now is that I have really forged my own path, and I really am my own man. And so like me and my dad are. What I'm trying to say is my dad and I are very, very different people. And I suppose in a way in the past there was a kind of a discomfort with that because I didn't really fully get it as a concept that I'm okay. It's okay for me to be really different from my dad, and it's
Mm.
okay for me to be very much my own man. And in a way, it helps him that I'm my own man. It helps him because I'm able to offer him my perspective from a different angle if he wants it. Um, so there's a lot of strength within that. But before it was like, no one ever told me it's okay to forge your own path. It's
Yeah.
kind of, apart from maybe you. But so there's kind of been a dis-ease with that
Yeah.
whole thing.
Turns
Am I
out
making
forging
sense?
your own path is vital,
Yeah.
vital. Um, as you move forward in the relationship with your parents, as you have found a more solidified personal identity as a person, as a man, your needs of each other, with you and your parents, your needs will now change, or your needs, we know at least, will change. And therefore, what to expect of them, what to demand of them, what to allow of them is something that I think we can explore and talk about a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Have you a sense of how it might be different now moving forward? You know, what may change for you now in regards to your expectations or needs of your dad or mum and dad? Give me some thoughts around that.
I might need more clarity, as in what my needs are, since I'm becoming more into more in my full living self, like that I'm. What are my need? How do my needs change as a result of that from my parents? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if we take even the example of historically your caretaker role.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so taking that piece, for example, how moving forward now in the future might that caretaker role change?
Um. Well, I suppose, like I only see it getting, like, if I'm not being optimistic about it, which I'm often not in my brain, I only see it getting more of a caretaker role. Like I see that becoming more pronounced as time passes. I can't see it going the other way really because they're aging.
Mm.
How maybe what you're getting at, and maybe what maybe I'm understanding is, I suppose how it's going to affect me will be different. How it's going to live within me, that role will be different. In the sense that maybe I'll be able to have more boundaries and and not let it overwhelm me. I think that is something that I'm quite certain of being
Mm.
able to have a good grasp of. I mean, I have a good detachment anyway, a healthy detachment from my father's issues, as in there is a heaviness that I do carry, but at the same time, I'm able to turn it off a lot of the time and just get on with my life and understand that, I can't. I am as powerless as he is over alcohol. I am that powerless over him,
Yeah.
and so and having gone to AA and Al-Anon at times, I've learned that type of thing from there, and that definitely that wisdom has stayed in me.
So
But
to
with
hear
my
that
mother, I
again,
think it's different.
oh,
What?
pardon me, but before we move on to mum, so just to hear that again, as powerless as he is over alcohol, you equally are powerless over being able to change him.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, what I say that, right, and I do genuinely, because I've tried. I've tried a lot, so I kind of do accept that that's the case. But like at the same time, there is always that little bit of you that goes, but I did have such an amazing effect on his life when he came here to Romania. Like I really changed his perspective, but yet he still went back. So it's like, I think the big difference is it's like, and it's that whole thing is like, he has to want to, but he did want to, but he just couldn't. He was just completely powerless. So like, I don't know. But like, you could make the argument, well, if you were in Ireland, this is the guilt I live with, right? It's like, if you were in Ireland and you lived down the road from him, you could make that change. You could, that's the voice in my head.
And when that voice in your head pitches that idea to you,
Hmm.
um, how do you counteract that? What does the other voice say? How do you combat that particular thought?
Um, well, I normally, I guess, I suppose I move on from it. I move into a different thought, or I move into a different action. I don't. That's it. That's all I can do. And maybe there'll be a bit of self-talk of saying, you don't actually know the outcome of that hypothetical situation. And also the thing that I've been saying, actually, now that I remember, is I lived with him for a large part of my existence, and um, you know, I couldn't change him then when I lived under the same roof as him. I mean, yes, I don't carry the same amount of wisdom and understanding of addiction as I do now. I didn't then, I mean, but you know, I did try. I did try and talk to him when I was living with him. Like, no, yeah. I mean, the wisdom is he has to want to change.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. What I wish for you is that moving forward, whatever changes in your dynamic with them, I wish for you moving forward that you just have less anxiety within you around your parents, and that the relationship and the back and forth with them can be with less concern, less worry, less weight, you know?
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, I don't know. Your words sometimes have a way of manifesting things. I hope those words fall deep within my soul and start to grow something beautiful, because I need to lose this weight. It's not fair on me to carry this on my life, this thing I carry. It's not
Mm.
fair, and it affects so many other areas of my life. And I'm doing my best, and I'm really trying in life, and I shouldn't have to carry this. And a lot of it is self-inflicted. It's not like, or like, it's not like my parents are trying to make me feel this way. Do you know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah.
I don't resent them, but but it isn't fair. It's not. And also, actually, it's counterproductive.
Yeah, because Stephen, not only is it not fair to carry this weight, it's just not necessary. it doesn't actually serve you in any way positive or helpful. It's it's irrelevant. It's misplaced. By moving it, there's room for something else. There's room for something else. And we need to make room for new things. Making room. Okay?
Yeah, it's amazing, when I'm sitting here and I'm just like, you're saying it's irrelevant, and you're right. It's irrelevant, but it's so hugely relevant as well, because what I'm actually, now that it's amazing with this type of work, because what we're seeing is, let me give you a real world example of how this heaviness might affect me. And I think it's fear, or but like part of me would like love to do a skydive, or go on a snowboard down a big, huge mountain, or which I've never done. I mean, I skied twice, but like, or lots of things that are very freeing and very liberating, and these types of things, right? Now, for me, as I see that in my head, those real world things that I might like to do one day, I get a lot of anxiety just thinking about them, even though I'd like to do them. And actually, now that I'm seeing what we're talking about, I think all of this anxiety, all of this heaviness, anything to do with me trying to find more freedom in my life, it all comes down to this. Like, this is the nucleus of it, of what is holding me back from really being the full expression of myself.
Yeah. The nucleus. Right.
Yeah, because this is at the core of my psyche. I mean, it must be. I mean, you tell me, but it must be. No, this anxiety, this heaviness. I haven't just. This has been with me all my life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Since I was a fucking toddler, probably.
Yeah. It's deep in the emotional marrow of your bones. Deep. So any battle you have with shifting it, changing it, removing it, reshaping it, we understand why it's so difficult and takes so long to complete this journey of transformation from this anxiety, because it's so deep within the marrow, so deep, and therefore there's no 6-8 weeks of CBT therapy techniques that will just take this out. There's no quick fixes. There's no therapeutic model or even personal model that will just wave a wand and remove this. You're working through it. You're working it through. You're working it through, and you're getting there. You're getting there, but because it's right at the core, it's sort of going to be the last bubble to pop. Um, we have to be patient yet resilient and consistent in marching on with this and moving forward with it, in the knowledge that all the odds are is that it will pop, and that you will have your moment or moments when you can recognize real change around this relationship with anxiety. So you're getting there. Do you feel like you're getting there?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, in some ways, in my head, this is a fresh work. It's a new, but then, like, because we're only kind of really fully explicitly identifying it now, but then in other ways it feels like this has been part of the work since day one. and if you look at the compound gains of what has manifested, come into fruition in the last, I don't know, 8 years since 8 or 9 years even since I started therapy with you, it's like, and since I got sober, it's like, I mean, it's crazy how far I've come. Like, it's crazy how close, how much further I am to there, wherever there is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm, it's like night and day who I am and who I was,
Yeah.
So in some ways I'm very far along that road, and then in some ways I'm like a baby on that road, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And have you a sense of what your anxiety looks like and where it is in your body, and how it manifests? Have you a sense of that?
Well, I said when we spoke about it last time, I said it was like heavy kind of sandbags or bags of rocks on my shoulders, but I also feel it in my stomach as well.
Yeah. And
It's
we
like,
acknowledged the sandbags and the shoulders from last time, certainly. But today you're in the stomach. Okay, it's changing. It's creatively giving you a different visual, a different sense. So it's in the stomach. And so look inside that stomach. What are you seeing?
I like a black cloud.
You can put
Blackish.
your hand through the cloud, yeah?
I could, yeah.
How black is it?
Actually, when I'm putting my hand through it now with my eyes closed, and it's very, very black, but I can't put my hand through it. It's like there's tar. It's like a tarry substance when I put it through. My hand lands in it. Now my hand is covered in tar.
This is like the smoker's lungs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but down in the stomach. Okay. And it's quite old, isn't it?
Yes.
Just reflecting back on what we talked about, how you've had this since you were a toddler. This black tar, this cloudy tar, it must be old. It's been around some time.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, let's just breathe into it. Just take your breath in your own way, and just when it travels down to the lungs, let it fall through the bottom of the lungs and go right down into the tummy, and just see what the breath does to the colour and the substance over the space of 3 or 4 in-breaths. Let's do that together. How is it changing?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost completely like a blue sky came in.
Lovely. Good.
Yeah. And a lightness and a kind of an optimism with it.
Good. And that's momentary. We know that doesn't now release something deep that's decades old, but a momentary, in this moment, you've managed to produce that blue sky and that light feeling. In this moment, when you spend 4 weeks with your dad, in those moments, it was blissful. It was nearly perfect. It was simple. But it was a moment. There were moments, and then behaviors return. Today, in this moment, your black tar changes to that blue sky. In this moment. But it will return. So we have to remember to, in the moment, immerse ourselves into it and take from it all we can, for it is a momentary experience. And to know that we can have lots of these moments, but we probably won't get any permanency around locked in, permanent overall emotional change to the things that are happening or have happened to us. And that's okay. We don't need that. We don't even need your deep marrowed anxiety to completely go. We don't need it to completely disappear. We just need to have many, many moments which lead to permanent changes in your relationship with that anxiety that will help you reach a point where you go, okay, this is now good enough. I can work with this. This is a new version of the anxiety that, I can be so much more in charge of. And then that's that chapter finished, Stephen. And then you'll go on and have another chapter change relationship with aspects of the self and your anxiety, at different stages in your life. And it will continue and continue and continue. And all that I ask is that you keep working on yourself. You just keep working. Spend more time on your personal development than you do on your job. Spend more time on your personal development than you do on your job. This is one of the cornerstones of beliefs that I carry through my life. Invest in yourself more than anything else. Okay?
Yes. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. That kind of brings me to something which, can I raise it just for a minute?
Please do.
Because I am really going back to the words of this year, balance, perseverance, and softening, and the balance thing I'm really working on, but I keep floundering with this. I'm really trying to find a system, a routine that works for me well in the day, and I'm experimenting all the time, but I cannot get something that is working. And this week I started getting up at 5, and then I only did it 2 days, and then I failed. I don't like the word fail, but it didn't keep going. And now for next week, what I've done is I've spoken with my trainer, who is now, instead of taking me 2 days a week, he's going to take me 5 days a week for in his private gym every morning at 7 a.m. So I feel that might unlock something in terms of the routine, but it's like every week it's like I'm trying something new. I just want something constant.
Yeah. You're taking on something more constant and more intense. And I think, constant and intense has got to bring new behavior or change. It has to. You feel it, you know it. By being with him 5 days a week for a number of weeks, something has to happen. Something has to happen. Comparing that to a couple of days a week, every day for 5 days, then hopefully the weekend off, and then again every day the next week. Yeah, it's a bit like that belief system that you spend 10,000 hours on a particular topic of interest and you become the expert, which is like a 40-hour week for 4 or 5 years, whatever it is, and then you're the expert, because there's consistency and an intensity which allows you to rise to the top of the class, allows you to be the best or to own the territory on that which you're learning. It's the same here. Yeah, the intensity of the exercise has to allow you to rise. So yeah,
I feel like that might be the key.
To that.
Thank you. I think that might be the key to unlocking this, is like the same time every day, and I'm accountable to someone. I do better if I'm, sometimes accountable to other people. I'm good at being accountable to myself, but not consistently. But if I have someone I have to consistently be accountable to every day for 1 hour of the day, it will, I think, start my days in the right way.
I think you've got this just right, and let me explain why. Because I think you're very accountable to yourself and very responsible when it comes to doing things that you're passionate about or that you're very driven by, as in doing a quality job, making good money. These are things that are easy enough for you to get motivated by, and you're very sort of self-fulfilling in that you're able to get up, get on, and do your job, which is vital for any self-employed person, that you can just self-fuel and get on with it. So in that context, you do fine. You do very well. Where you don't do so well is when, like with exercise, when the motivation is not as strong, when the resistance is more present. That, as you say, is when you need to be more accountable to another person, because that's the missing element which allows you to sort of stick with it. So I think you've got it just right. Taking on the trainer and being accountable, and to receive the validation from the trainer is the piece that's going to really make the difference here. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to do it. It's only going to be for maybe 4 or 5 weeks before I move off to France or whatever is happening. But I think it'll be a good platform for what's coming next. And
now it's 4 or 5 weeks, which is about 20 or so visits with the personal trainer. And had you been doing that maybe only twice a week, that's the equivalent like of 4 months work twice a week with a trainer. But you're going to be doing 4 months work all in the space of that, that number of weeks, 5 days a week. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, it's good. It feels good.
Good. What's session been like for you today?
I mean, I think there's been a very big discovery for me. It feels it was kind of strangely subtle in a way, the way it kind of just revealed itself just in a moment while you were talking. I was like, I just have an image of like I don't know, something coming from behind a mountain, like just something just kind of going, oh, there I am. That's what's the big weight in your life, and that's, and it's so interesting. My temptation to say it's no one's fault. We get it. It's no one's fault, Stephen, but it's there. Yeah, it's no one's fucking fault. Everyone's loved. Everyone did their best. We get it. Okay, get on with your life. But it's there. It's fucking there, and it's holding me back, and it needs to be not exterminated or not zapped, but they're the instant words that come to my head, but just gently said goodbye to.
Yeah. Gently said goodbye to. I like that. And let me top up what you're saying by reminding you that today you talk about that sort of subtle reveal, how it just crept up on you and how nice that is. Let me remind you that you have had many, many of them in the past in our work, and I'm sure in your day-to-day life as well. Trust yourself, you're going to have many more in our sessions ahead. They will sometimes be subtle, sometimes big and bold, but they're there, they're in you, they rise to the surface, and they bubble up. And I trust completely that all of the insight you need is coming to the surface within you. All of the power you need is coming to the surface from within you. And all of that extra little bit of magic that you need is coming to the surface. It's there. And I know it's there because I've watched it rise in you before. So I trust completely it's going to continue to rise for you in the future. And that just gives me a very hopeful and very solid feeling about your future in your personal development. Okay?
Thank you, Zach.
You're welcome. Okay, until next time, you mind yourself.
Disclaimer. The opinions expressed by our presenters are entirely their own. We believe in fostering an environment that values intellectual diversity, enabling our presenters to share their unique insights and viewpoints. It is crucial for our audience to recognise that the opinions articulated during the course of this programme are those of the individual presenters and do not reflect or represent any other individuals, agencies or organisations. If you wish to contact Zach Powers, please email him at bergenpsychological.com. If you wish to contact Stephen, please go to stephendaltonvo.com.